Hey guys, this is Real Appalachia with Shane.
And Melody.
And this next story takes place in Big Stone Gap, Virginia.
Yes, this is a story that has made a lot of pop culture references, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny how there's a lot of mystique about that town. Big Stone Gap is kind of like Grundy, Harlan. People know it if they don't know any other part of this country. But for some reason, Big Stone, a lot of big stuff happens. And this one happens to one of the most famous stars of her generation, Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes. So you guys definitely want to see this one. Give us the thumbs up, share, subscribe. You know the deal.
Yes.
Elizabeth Taylor was one of the most popular movie stars of her generation. Taylor's career spanned across 7 decades, starring in classic films such as National Velvet, Cleopatra, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And that is just to name a few. A media darling, Elizabeth Taylor's every move seemed to draw press attention, and she always gave them plenty of material, including her 8 marriages, spanning across 7 husbands. She married Richard Burton twice. Her lavish lifestyle and personal charisma kept the spotlight on her for her entire adult life. With her acting roles on the decline, Elizabeth Taylor decided to spend more time supporting her 6th husband, John Warner, whom she had married in 1976, in his quest to become a United States Senator for the Commonwealth of Virginia in 1978. After initially losing the nomination to Richard Obenshain at the Republican convention, John Warner was thrust back into the race once Obenshain died tragically in a plane crash just 2 months after earning the nomination. Already in the whole 2 months in campaigning, John Warner went on a barnstorming tour of the state, and Elizabeth Taylor excitedly joined him on the road. Having Elizabeth Taylor on board with the campaign was a double-edged sword, as she brought a considerable amount of attention, but most all of that attention was on her and not the actual candidate, John Warner, so the results were mixed. Initially, Liz Taylor took to the new lifestyle and enjoyed the change from Hollywood. That slowly began to change once they began to put in the grind of long, hard days. They made up to 6 stops a day covering a 2-month period. It all came to a head when she made a stop that almost led to her demise one fateful day in Big Stone Gap. On October 12, 1978, Warner and Taylor stopped at Fraley's Coach House in Big Stone for a campaign dinner. The dinner went well, and the couple went back to the kitchen to thank the cooks. One of the cooks good-naturedly offered Elizabeth Taylor a piece of prized Southern fried chicken, and Taylor politely took it, stating, "It's my favorite food," before biting down and choking on the 2-inch bone inside the chicken. She was immediately in distress as the bone became lodged in her throat. She was quickly rushed to the Lonesome Pine Hospital by ambulance where Dr. H.D. Patel worked on her. An x-ray revealed the problem was that the chicken had lodged in her swallowing tube. Dr. Patel decided against surgery or anesthesia, instead opting to push down on the bone with a flexible rubber tube that had a light attached to it as a guide. After some pressure was applied, the bone was dislodged and went on down into her esophagus. Fortunately, Elizabeth Taylor was soon discharged and the couple went back to Richmond to allow her time to recover, John Warner briefly suspending his campaigning to be by her side. The incident drew national attention and media coverage. It even inspired a skit on Saturday Night Live where John Belushi mocked the incident.
Liz, welcome to Celebrity Corner. Thank you. Will there be a career conflict now that you are also the wife of a United States Senator? Well, thank you so much, Liz. It's been a real treat for me to have you on Celebrity Corner.
Once she recovered, they touched on the incident during an interview with a local television station.
We almost didn't get together with the Warners due to Elizabeth's recent hospitalization. She is recently out of the hospital, and this is, I think, your first time out on the campaign trail again, and your voice isn't quite back to normal, so we're going to let John do most of the talking. You have been incredibly accident-prone, though, in the last few months. Are you feeling like campaigning is a hazardous occupation at this point?
Well, I've been going at a very strong, arduous pace, and things happen. I prefer to call it incident-prone, not accident-prone. I mean, things just happen to me like a piece of metal flew into my eye. I don't think that's my fault. And choking on a chicken bone is evidently a very common thing. It's also very dangerous.
It was a frightening experience, I'm sure.
It was.
In the long run, Elizabeth Taylor's choking fit likely helped the campaign as it cast them as sympathetic to voters. It was one of 3 unfortunate episodes that happened to Elizabeth Taylor during the campaign. Following an accident in Richmond, during which a piece of silver made its way under her eyelid, and another instance where she tripped over a loose piece of carpet at a hotel in Norfolk. John Warner would go on to win his close race against Democrat Andrew P. Miller, by a slim margin of 50.19% to 49.81%, which was a spread of less than 5,000 votes out of over 1.2 million votes cast in the election. Warner would have a long, distinguished career as senator, serving from 1979 until retiring in 2009. Warner and Elizabeth Taylor were divorced in November of 1982, and Fraley's Coach House remained in business until 1984 before it closed. Big Stone Gap native and author Adriana Trigiani even included the incident in her book and movie, both titled Big Stone Gap. In the end, if you've learned nothing else from this video, please, please, please chew your food before swallowing.
Alrighty, that's a crazy story, wasn't it?
I know, it really is. I've heard it before, but I always love to hear it because it's just so wild.
It is. It's nutty. You know what's funny is that she was supposed to, Elizabeth Taylor and John Warner were supposed to come to my church, Raven Assembly, and just kind of threw it whole thing off.
I remember you telling me that.
We get nervous, was
that?
looking at church, hoping they'd walk in the door, and it just didn't happen. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, we hope you guys enjoyed this story, and we will see you on down the road.
Yes.